What's good, everybody? I'm back with another video today. I'm going to be breaking down another Drake R&B type of beat. It's going to be in the style of the HABIBTI album. Once again, I already did a video before on this, so if you're interested in this video, make sure to go check out my other one. But yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, and for this video, I'm actually going to start out with something a little different. I'm going to play the final product at the start, just so you guys can kind of see what you're getting into. I know some people prefer it that way. Let me know if you want me to, keep it a surprise till the end like I have in previous videos. But yeah, I'm going to switch it up for this video today. So let's give it a listen. So yeah, that's the final product. I just wanted you guys to hear it before so you could see what you're getting into. But yeah, let's get into the breakdown now. So yeah, there's the finished product. I got a lot of sauce for you guys today. Not even just with like the patterns or anything, because I mean, as you can see, it's literally just the same chord progression layered 3 times and then copied throughout the entire beat. And then the bass line, as you can see, super simple, just a little walk down and like that throughout the whole entire beat. But the sauce that I'm going to be getting into is I'm going to be showing you guys a few different ways that you can still like give your beat variation, even if you're only doing something super simple like this. There's plenty of other ways that you can still like make it sound different in areas or make it cooler in areas, just to give the listener something else to listen to, so it's not just the same thing throughout the whole entire beat. But yeah, pretty much that's all. Let's get into the chord progressions first. Okay, and for this chord progression, nothing much to it. I just started with the minor 7th chord, and if you don't know, like music theory a ton, basically to make a minor 7th chord, you just start with your root note, skip one note that's in key, place, skip a note that's in key, place, and you do that 4 times, and then there you go. There's a minor 7th right there. And I pretty much copied that over, pitched it down a few semitones, copied it over again, pitched it down a few semitones again. If there were a few notes that were out of key, I would just shift them in key a little bit to a spot where I thought sounded good. And to get these like lower, like bassy notes or whatever, I literally just took the root note of every single chord, copied it down an octave, copied it down another octave, and then I took this 4-bar, little 3-chord thing, copied it over again over here, and then just to add a little bit of variation over here, I just basically picked a few chords to just like, pitch up an octave, or just, to change the voicing of the notes a little bit, or the chords. But it's literally, even though it looks a little different, it's literally all the same exact notes and everything being played. I don't remember the exact ones that I pitched up or anything like that, but all I literally did was I just picked random ones and then I just pitched them up like that, or I'd pitch them down like that. And I just was experimenting, seeing what I thought sounded good. And then pretty much the same for these little like passing, like transition notes, whatever you want to call it. I pretty much just placed them in different spots and, kept playing it over and over until I found like spots that I thought sounded good. I will say, if you keep your transition notes or passing notes close to the notes that are being played in your next chord, I feel like that helps transition it into the next chord, if you keep it close. But I mean, if you have it way down here or something, you know, it might still sound good. But I just feel like keeping it close to the notes that you're transitioning to helps when you're placing these little like passing notes, I guess you could call them. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. I mean, there's nothing special going on. Just over here is the only part that just looks a little different, and that's just because I was just pitching things around, you know, seeing what sounded good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chord progression. And I literally just took this, copied it 3 times with different sounds, and then you see these bottom low bass notes that I was talking about or whatever. I literally just copied these 3 notes, copy and paste it right here onto our actual bass, and that's our whole bass. Literally just these 3 notes repeated over and over. And it's super simple. And I know that it does not look like a lot going on here, but trust me, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have your stuff looking simple or plain sometimes, because, you know, if it sounds good to you, it sounds good to you. I promise you, I promise you a lot of the, not all the time, but a lot of the time, if you just keep your stuff simple, you'll be surprised at how many more people like start hopping on your stuff. You know what I mean? Because it just kind of leaves room, I feel like. And it's also just kind of the fact that, like, you guys are looking at the FLP right now, you know, you see this stuff, it looks like nothing's really going on. It doesn't look like a lot at all, you know, so that might change your opinion on the beat or whatever. But you got to realize when people are listening to it, they don't see all this. All they know is just what they're hearing. And if it sounds good, then they're gonna want that shit. I mean, ultimately, they're not gonna care what you put for your chords, or, you know, they're not gonna care how simple it looks on the FLP. You know, they're not. Nobody cares about that. You know, if it sounds good, it sounds good, and that's really, I mean, that's really just what I'm kind of trying to stress to you guys is, like, don't worry about any of that other stuff. You know, like, just kind of do what you think sounds good and just have fun with it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, that's all for the chords and the bass. Let's get into the vocals next. I got some sauce for the vocals, so yeah. Okay, and for this vocal, one thing that I did do with this vocal to add, this is one of the things that I did to kind of add variation into the beat. And there's a few other things that I did too, but one of the main things that I did to add variation into the beat, because the vocals are kind of I'd say it's kind of the main thing you hear in the beat is the vocals. And what I did is, you know, at the start with this intro, I just had it playing like normal, you know. You can hear everything that she's saying. But then when the beat drops, I have the vocals reversed. So you can't really tell what she's saying, but it's still like vocal, like it still sounds good, you know what I mean? And Drake actually does this a lot in a lot of his beats, is, you know, he'll reverse his vocals and whatnot. And not just Drake either. A lot of other people do it too. And there was just certain sections reversed that I didn't think sounded good, so I'd cut it out, you know. Once again, there's no rules to this stuff. I didn't like how it sounded in this spot, you know, cut it out, you know, take it out of there. I obviously thought the same with some spots over here also. And then just when we're transitioning into the next section, I actually have this end part here not reversed. Just that little end part I have at the end not reversed. I just feel like it kind of helped transition into the next section. But yeah, you don't have to, you could have kept it reversed or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much all for that. I mean, I got these little ad libs here. So yeah, it might sound a little bit crazy right now, but trust me, in the context of the rest of the beat, it all comes together and sounds good. But I know that you guys are probably going to be wondering what I put on these vocals. And, you know, first started off with the EQ. EQ'd a lot of the frequencies out. I feel like that's pretty typical. You know, it kind of pushes the vocals more in the background a little bit. And it also is just kind of like, I feel like that's kind of an essential thing to do when you're trying to get that Drake vibe. I added Valhalla Supermassive on here too. You can look at these settings and copy them if you want. But once again, it's one of those things where it's kind of just use your ear, see what sounds good to you. But if you want to copy these settings, go ahead, it's right there. Added a little bit of Echo Boy. You know, I don't even know, if I'm being honest, I just got this plugin. Don't even really know how it works and all that yet. I'll figure it out eventually, but I don't even know too much of how this plugin works yet. I just threw it on there. I thought it sounded better with it. I turned the mix level down to 80% right here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I added a limiter just to kind of get rid of any of the peaks in the vocal, you know. Just makes the vocals a little more smooth. And I put all the same stuff on the ad-lib too, except for the limiter. I didn't put the limiter on here, but yeah, all the same stuff. I think even the settings on all this stuff is all the same too. So yeah, I actually didn't put the mix level at 80% on this Echo Boy though. So I must have thought it sounded good at 100% right there. That's all that I put on the vocals. Anything like, it's nothing too crazy. I know they're not stock plugins, but you know, if you really needed them, you could find ways to get them. You know, I'm not gonna get into that, but you can find ways to get it. But yeah, I think that's all for the vocals. Let's get into the next section. And the next thing that I want to kind of talk about, just another, it'll be kind of quick. I want to make it quick at least. Literally, I just added a texture right here for just the intro. I think I had it again over here for the bridge. But this is the only part where those are, except for the intro and the bridge, this is the only part where I have this texture playing. And then for this texture right here, I got another one. This one plays pretty much throughout the entirety of the whole entire beat, like when the actual beat is going, with the drums and all that. I did stretch it out a lot longer than it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to only go to like here. I stretched it out a lot farther. I just like the way it sounded. And yeah, but they're super simple phrases. It's anything crazy. I added this one at the start. I'll let you listen to it real quick. I added that one at the start just because I thought it just added tension. I just felt like it added something. It wasn't a ton. Like, you might not even notice that it's there, but I just feel like it adds tension. And then when the beat drops, it kind of goes away, which I feel like kind of has a nice feeling to it when you're listening. And then I got this other phrase here. And once again, it's one of those things where when you're listening to everything, like, you might not even notice it unless you're really like trying to focus in on that one sound, but it just adds to the beat, you know? And I feel like that's another thing that a lot of top producers do, is they'll add things in their beats a lot that, you know, you might not even really notice it, but it does make a difference, you know? Like, trust me, it does make a difference. It's just a little bit something more that, you know, adds to the beat. And that is literally all there is for the whole entire melody. And I'll also get into more on how I got, because you might notice if you're listening to everything that I've been playing so far, you might notice that when I was playing the final product, it sounded a little different. I'll kind of get into how I made it sound more like a sample. Super simple how I did it. But yeah, this is just where I started out with this, and let's get into the drums next. All right, and for the drums on this one, I literally just used a drum loop. But once again, I'll get more into how you can still add some more variation, because even in the drum loop, I added some variation later on in the beat in some different sections. But I kind of just wanted to play the drums with the rest of the melody first before I really start getting into talking about them. But yeah, let's give it a listen. So yeah, I think it sounds pretty. Honestly, I could have just kept it the way it is. I think it sounds good the way it is right now too. I didn't even need to, do what I did to make it sound more like a sample. But I just feel like usually for the drizzy vibes, you gotta get it kind of sampley sounding. So, but anyways, yeah, like I said, I just have this drum loop pretty much repeating throughout the first 16 bars. I kind of cut out the end here a little bit when I was transitioning into the next 8 bars here. Just kind of adds a little bit of some. But then over here for the next part, all I did, I had the same exact drum loop, except I just cut certain parts out of it. And that made the drum loop different than it was over here. And I feel like that kind of, it slowed the vibe down a little bit in this section, a little bit, because there's certain parts that were hitting over here that aren't hitting over here. So it's a little bit slowed down a little bit over here. This is kind of like the verse, get a little bit more off your chest, which is something that, Drake does a lot. He has a lot to get off his chest in his beats. So, but yeah, and the melody is all completely the same over here, except I just changed the drum loop. And then as you can see here, I also have an automation clip with halftime. So now let me get into that, because this is what I was talking about on one of the things that you can do to add variation in your beats, even when it's just something simple like this repeating over and over again. And yeah, let's just go to the mixer track. Basically, this is the melody bus. Every single section of our melody is all routed into this one bus. And I added a little EQ, added some fresh air, but then this is the part where it kind of added like variation in the beat. That's what I was looking for, my bad. But pretty much pull up halftime. You might not have halftime, but if you don't, I think it's literally like 10, 15 bucks or something. Like, it's a super cheap plugin and you can do a lot with it. But I kept it it usually starts out at 1 bar. I put it at half right here. I also moved this. It usually starts default on the right side. I moved it to the left, 1.3. Have the mix at 100% there. All I literally did was I just moved this over a little bit, and then I changed it to half right there. And then to create an automation clip, which is the part that you guys might not know, is come down to this little part here on the halftime, right click it, and then you can come down and click create automation clip. And when you do that, I'll do it again real quick. When you do that, this is what it gives you. And then pretty much, let me just redo everything that I did. Pretty much what I did was I didn't want the halftime at full 100%, so I have it at 80% here. But pretty much just put a little dot there. That's at 80%. We'll put another dot there. Oh, wrong. Let's flip this around a little bit. There you go. Make sure this one's on 80. If you can't quite line it up perfectly, you can always type in the value too. Let's put it at 80, and then over here, bring it all the way down. And then there you go. This whole first section here will not have the halftime, but then once you get to this next section, then it's gonna flip into the halftime, and it sounds different. I'll play it through for you guys right here in this part, so you guys can hear the difference that it makes. So yeah, I mean, it literally sounds like a completely different section. It slows down a lot. This section right here gives the artist a lot more room to, speak and get some stuff off its chest. Pretty much that's all I did to get variation in this whole entire beat was that right there. And then for this little bridge part here, it's same melody like I've been saying. Brought that one texture back. And then It's just copied over again for the, this whole part is just copied over again after the bridge. And that's literally the whole beat there. But yeah, I think this halftime that's definitely some sauce, because something as simple as that can completely change the way that certain sections of your beat sound. And like I've been saying, even when you have literally just something repeating over and over again in the beat like this, So yeah, I mean, quick little run through again, like just to get variation in your beats and stuff is, reverse some of your vocals in certain sections if you want, add some halftime in certain sections. You can even automate it like I did here. If you're using a drum loop, cut out some sections of the drum loop in different parts, or if you're actually doing your own drums, just take some sections of your own drums out in certain parts, So yeah, and this is pretty much the final product. The last thing that I wanted to talk about and go over to get the final sound that you guys are probably wanting to know how I got. And all I did was I just selected the whole entire melody. I think it's Control Alt C. Yeah, Control Alt C. Let it run through. It consolidates everything together. And then I got this. After I got this consolidated, all I literally did was go to it, and then I pitched it up a ton. Like, pitch it up like 600, 800 cents or something like that. You can mess around too to see what you think sounds the best, but for this specific one, I pitched it up 600 cents, and that's it. And that's all I did. And then I just kind of took this melody right here, and it kind of gave it more of like a sample feel to it, just doing something like that. So let's listen to it again real quick. So yeah, there it is. That's the whole entire video, really. Well, there you guys have it. That is my complete breakdown of my most recent Drake R&B type of beat that I made. I'm gonna have more of them out in the future, of course. They're not always gonna be R&B, or they're not always gonna be Drake either. But with the Drake albums just recently coming out, gotta make some videos on it. But yeah, anyways, that's all it is. Leave some comments down below on what you want me to make in the future, if you have any suggestions, or if you have any feedback for me, or if you just got any kind of inquiries at all. Leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to them. But yeah, until next time, peace out.